my top Saturn memory is I did not own a Sega Saturn. I had an N64 at the time because that's the route I went. I went with the Nintendo route. I apologise right now, everybody, but that's that. For some reason, at the time, I had a Mega Drive, and then I saw Mario 64, and I thought that looks awesome. I'm going to get an N64, and also couldn't really afford either an N64 or a Sega Saturn when they first launched, so I had to wait a little bit of time. But my friend got a Sega Saturn, and we were out for his birthday in London at the Sega World, which was in the Trocadero near Leicester Square. So we went to basically a Sega-filled day of fun, playing arcade games and stuff. That's where I got to play the G-Lock game, I think, and some other bits and pieces. And then inside the same building that Sega World was in, there's like I think there's a couple of restaurants, and there was also a shop. There's a Virgin Media shop, I think it was at the time. So they sold like CDs and vinyls and movies and stuff. They also had a small game selection, and they had the Sega Saturn there. And my friend went in there. He had been given some money for his birthday. He had £70. No, I think he had £100 for his birthday or something. And he went in there, picked up a game which I'd never heard of, never even seen before, like didn't know anything about it in my existence, and it cost him £70. And I was like, wow, that's expensive, because the games back then were like £35-40 at the most. So I was like, this is an expensive game, dude. What are you buying?
Your games got cheaper on CD.
Well, you thought so, but it was a very special game. It came with its own controller. You guys may or may not know what it could be.
I know what it is.
Oh, Scotty's doing it at the same time.
God, well, you win. I'm holding up my box, and it's like half the size of yours. I'm a piece of shit.
That looks way better than the US.
So it's Nights into Dreams for the audio listeners. So yeah, big fat controller with it. What's your back look like? Mine's just a picture of the controller on the back. So you've actually got a picture of the game on the back. That's crazy. That's the thing.
I notice you still have the price tag. I have my Babbage's Electronics price tag that you can see was $69.99. That's definitely not going to show up on the camera.
I picked this up for £50. Yeah, was that £50? Yeah, £50 from a random second-hand shop that I happened to walk into and was like, they've got Knights with the 3D controller, I'm having that. Because before this, I had the 3D controller and I had Knights. I did not have the box of Knights and the 3D controller together. So yeah, I've got my controller ever. As well. Woo, yeah. Love this controller. But yeah, and my friend bought it and I was like, dude, you've spent so much money on this game. That's insane. We went back to his house. We all stayed the night at his house. There's only a few of us. I think it was like 4 or 5 of us. Went back to his house. He put the game in, and I was just like, "What is this magical thing you're showing me right now?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I played on the Saturn. I thought the Saturn was fine. I thought the graphics were good for its time. I liked it, but I was never like, "I need to buy this machine." We were playing Nights. We played it all night long. We didn't even actually properly finish the game because we weren't very good at it. So we never got to the was it Wise Man, like the main boss? We only ever got to Riella, who was like not even the proper boss at the end of the game. And I didn't realize until years later when I owned the game and got vaguely decent at it and got to Wiseman, I was like, holy shit, like there's a whole other boss and stuff. And so yeah, we played that all night long, just the group of us, and I was just in love with it. I thought the controller was amazing. Being able to walk around in 3D as the kids, that's the thing, we were like messing around, we were like trying to jump on the train, and I think it's Frozen Bell level, you can jump on the train, and the train will actually ride around in 3D on some tracks, and you often fall off because it gets too steep, but it was just so much fun. And I think there was a car bit, there's like an area with a little car that drives around, and
it's get hit by the
car
view.
Or jump on the car or something. But yeah, like as you're a kid, you can like go walk around that area and like find the car. But yeah, I just loved that game so much. So that was one of my favorite experiences from the Saturn. I played the Saturn before, liked it, but this was the top point. I was like, this is awesome. This is so cool. And then I bought a secondhand Saturn off some friends who were selling it for like 30 quid with Sega Rally. And I was like, boom, got it. Nice. Yeah, they were idiots. I like them, but yeah, that was a bargain, I thought at the time. So yeah, that is my favourite Saturn memory, or fondest Saturn memory, I'd say. So,
nice.
Anti-Chris, you're next up, buddy.
This one's a little bit more recent. So I didn't grow up with a Saturn. I didn't get into like years later. I never really delved into it until like the last couple of years. I want to say like in 2014. But this year, I recently learned that my wife is a god at virtual pinball. She was going through my collection the other day, and she was just like, "Wait, you have pinball?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I want to play pinball," because she grew up playing crew ball on the Genesis, which is a super like interesting. It's a fun game. It's like I never really paid attention much to like video game pinball outside of like Sonic Spinball, and I hate that game. That game's ass.
It's not good.
No, but then like I later found out about like Devil Crush and shit like that. I'm just like, okay, there could be good ones. Well, Last Gladiator is like a legit virtual pinball. Like it all looks like real pinball machines. I don't know if they're actually real. But in Japan they came out with 2 versions of it. I don't know what the differences are. I don't care. But Last Gladiator is a really it's got 4 different themes. The one that we keep on going back to is called like I think it's like the War of Roses, where it's like all knights themed and it's black or black and red background. But she is just ridiculously good. Like I thought I did okay getting like 300 million. So I have the Japanese.
I own this.
Yeah, I had the Japanese version of that.
I have a problem.
But she takes it and she gets like over 1 billion points on it in the first fucking sitting. And she's like teaching me about how you play virtual pinball. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And so like I want to say like once every couple of weeks, like once every 2 or 3 weeks, she'll come down and she's like, hey, set up the Saturn for me. I want to play pinball. And she'll just sit there the entire night, fucking night. It's amazing. So
that's a good feeling when your significant other says or goes to turn on the system themselves without you being around.
Yeah, and like Tiff plays video games. Like she grew up on like Halo and shit like that. So there's games that she definitely likes to play. But it was so odd for her to go to a retro console that she never owned at all and be like, yo, put on that pinball shit and let me rock.
Play an even more retro style of game.
Exactly. Because she's very much like, why do you play the Super Nintendo? Why do you play the Genesis? These games look so old. I'm just like, nah, bitch, you don't understand. Don't understand.
Oh, wow.
Said I'm gonna learn you something.
I feel like that's a lost genre as well. Pinball games. I feel like I don't see them anymore unless I'm
they're not super common. Like I know that on Steam, like Graham, I know you don't have this, but on Steam, like they have some virtual pinball games and shit. Like Star Wars pinball. I mean, they're on the Switch. They're there, but they're not really heavily marketed.
Okay. So I remember back in the day that being a thing. Like,
well, it's probably an unfortunate result of like there's no what were they called Gottlieb. It's just Zen pinball out there now. Like Stern is doing stuff, but I mean, pinball machines are like collectors are buying those more oddly with a interesting resurgence of pinball and arcade here and there, but mainly pinball coming back. It's out there, but yeah, actual games. I think there's kind of a monopoly now with video games released with pinball collections and whatever.
Yeah. It's weird. But that's my memory.
That's a good memory, I think.
It just happened.
Yeah. So Scotty, what is your top Saturn memory?
Mine goes back to Saturn Bomberman. When I lived in a house with 3 other GameStop employees, we had frequent enough parties, or just like because most of our friends worked at GameStop, or our significant others were just always around, we would have parties. And there was a time when the Saturn was always just hooked up downstairs, and I was able to convince like everyone there, like whether you're a gamer or not, let's try this out. Let's play some Saturn Bomberman. So I had the 2 multi-taps. Try to hold this so it doesn't... I mean, we already saw it. I don't need to hold it again. I had 2 multi-taps set up. 10 people playing Bomberman. It was just so cool. And like I was trying to explain to people how to play, and they weren't listening, and it didn't matter because you can still jump in and just go, because it's just the most basic thing of moving in a direction, setting a bomb, blowing them up. But we would do the 10-player thing, and then we would do the 8-player thing to make it a little more manageable. But I'll never forget one of my older roommates, like in Saturn Bomberman, after you play a match, you can check out the stats and see who killed who, which is great because then that usually sets up vendettas for the next couple of rounds. Or you can also see, but it'll have a flame signal instead. If like I mentioned the dumbbells or the 1-ton things that drop down on you if you get killed in the sudden death, but also if you're looking at the stats, it'll show a picture. It'll show your character who you killed. But so if I look and see that my own character shows for who killed me, that means I killed myself. So with my own bomb, which is hilarious. But we'd be looking at those, and one of my friends, like, it never failed that somehow he would end up killing himself. And I'll never forget the quote that he said. He's like, "You can't kill me. I got dibs." But it was just so great to see so many people that, yeah, they're gamers, but honestly, more people that were not really gamers playing Saturn Bomberman and sitting down and playing my favorite Saturn game, probably my favorite game at that time, because this was like the 360 era, so not too long ago, but long enough that the Saturn was not relevant at all. But to just have like a group of people sitting on couches and chairs and the floor, and like this just fucking Amazon of cables going from my Saturn console to each person, to the point that we had to like label controllers so everybody knew who they were and everything, and going through the character select and like having mass hysteria in my living room with Saturn Bomberman was so much fun. And that is the reason I have probably 15 fucking controllers between guns and sticks and game pads for my Saturn, but I have 2 multi-tabs, so I am, if that ever happens again, that we have enough people in maybe the next Dreamcast marathon, that could be the post-game thing where we all sit down and play a massive game of Saturn Bomb.
I would be all over that. I'd love that so much.
That's definitely my favorite Saturn-related moment, though.
Hell yeah.
That is brilliant. I love those sort of things that come out of this sort of stuff. And wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, let's
obviously, in summation, the Saturn is the best console of all time, is what we're saying.
Basically, yeah. It's got the best game ever, Panzer Dragoon Saga. It's got the best Bomberman ever. It's got the second best Street Fighter.
You're right.
It's there. It's got some wacky games. It's got some great memories.
Honey, I gotta tell you about this sandwich.